The heat in Lekki was oppressive, but the tension inside the bridal suite was colder than the air conditioning. Funmi stood behind Bisola, fastening the hooks of a lace traditional gown that cost more than a civil servant's annual salary. Today was Bisola's day, the day she would marry Sigan, the heir to a banking dynasty. Funmi, the ever-loyal best friend, smiled into the mirror, but her eyes remained vacant. She had spent 3 decades in Bisola's shadow, playing the sidekick, the confidant, and the silent witness to Bisola's cruelty. Bisola preened, adjusting her heavy gold jewelry. Funmi, hope the champagne is chilled. I can't have the bridesmaids looking parched and haggard. She didn't wait for an answer, her voice dripping with the casual arrogance of a woman who had never known. Funmi's fingers brushed Bisola's neck, feeling the pulse of a woman who had stolen Funmi's first love, sabotaged her career, and laughed about it over mimosas. Everything is perfect, B, Funmi whispered. She reached into her clutch, pulling out a small, ornate vial. It was a gift from a woman in the deep heart of Oyingbo Market, someone who dealt in silences rather than shouts. Drink this. It's a special herbal blend for your nerves. A bride shouldn't be shaken at the altar. Bisola took the glass, downed it in one gulp, and smacked. 10 minutes later, the gasping began. The betrayal was finally in motion. The reception hall in Lagos was decorated in teal and gold, laughter echoing seconds before panic erupted. Bisola lay motionless. Guests froze. Sigan Balogun stood nearby in his navy designer suit, shock tightening his jaw. His expression remained composed, but his world had shifted. Funmi knelt beside her friend. Neutral face. Steady breathing. The doctors called it a cardiac reaction. The whispers called it fate. Funmi called it opportunity. Banana Island mourned in silk and black lace. Funmi now wore a fitted black dress, minimal jewelry, her posture graceful as she managed condolences inside the marble mansion. Bisola's framed portrait rested behind her. Sigan visited nightly. Chief Okonkwo watched everything silently from his seat, red cap firm on his head. Funmi remained composed, always composed. Sigan leaned toward her one evening. She wasn't who I thought she was. Funmi lowered her gaze. She had made sure of that. Inside the mahogany office in Victoria Island, the lawyer cleared his throat. Funmi sat perfectly still. Titi stood quietly nearby, observant. The amendment stunned the room. Bisola's wealth transferred to Funmi. Silence fell like thunder. Chief Okonkwo's dignity trembled. Funmi did not smile. But her victory had already begun. Night fell over Lagos. Funmi stood inside her penthouse, city lights glowing behind her. Her phone buzzed endlessly. A video had surfaced. An argument. The bridal suite. Public judgment was swift, but Funmi adapted. She shifted the narrative carefully. By morning, sympathy had replaced suspicion. She understood something powerful. In Lagos, perception is reality. Inside the villa bedroom, Sigan sat on the edge of the bed, silent. Funmi stood beside him in cream silk. He had lost his fiancée, his reputation, his stability. She offered him calm, control, dependence, and he accepted it. The laptop screen glowed in the dark penthouse. A photo of the vial appeared. Funmi stared at it. Neutral face, but her pulse shifted. Someone knew. The lagoon outside reflected the moonlight like a warning. Concrete pillars. Moonlight. Titi stood across from her holding a phone. No anger, just stillness. I saw everything, Titi said calmly. Funmi's grip tightened around her handbag. 2 women. One inheritance. One secret. Inside the unfinished building, silence surrounded them. Titi stepped closer. Funmi did not retreat. A subtle movement. A small syringe. Titi's body stiffened. Collapsed. Funmi watched. Neutral. Steady. She did not share. She conquered. 6 months later, the balcony of the Banana Island mansion overlooked the glowing Lagos sunset. Funmi stood in silk, champagne in hand. Inside, Sigan sat quietly, dependent, controlled. The world had tried to judge her, tried to shame her, but what they did to her only strengthened her resolve. She had killed her best friend, eliminated the sister, secured the man, claimed the empire. Her face remained neutral, because winners do not celebrate loudly, they simply reign. And in Lagos, Funmi reigned. In Lagos, secrets rarely stay buried. Funmi believed she had calculated every angle: the bridal suite in Lekki, the mourning house in Banana Island, the confrontation in it. Every move was precise, every expression controlled, every weakness removed. From the outside, she had won. She owned the penthouse. She controlled the mansion. She had Sigen's name, his loyalty, and his empire resting quietly in her hands. But power in Lagos does not come without echoes. At society events, conversations paused when she entered. Smiles were polite but thin. Invitations arrived late. Eyes lingered too long. No one accused her. No one dared. Yet no one truly embraced her either. Sigen, though dependent, had changed. He no longer looked at her with affection, only habit. The warmth was gone. What remained was obligation. And at night, when the lagoon outside reflected the moonlight against her glass walls, silence felt heavier than applause. She had achieved her goal. She was no longer the sidekick. She was no longer overlooked. She had become the queen. But the throne she fought for was cold. In the end, Funmi did not lose to the law. She did not fall to scandal. She was not exposed. She simply became untouchable and completely alone. Because sometimes, the greatest shock is not what they do to you. It is what you become after doing it.